next subject, and we only have a few left. And this one is big. This one is very big, and this one is what helped me become better at sports betting. This is something I learned when I became lucky enough to get involved and be meeting everybody like DJ and all the low, who we call the low baggers. Um, One of the things that I learned that I did not do 5 years ago. So, well, 6 years ago, coming up in November, but 6 full years. We went 5 full years already. Is record keeping. This record keeping is so key to what you're doing. You'll be surprised when you forget the what you've done the last week. You gotta write it down. And when you after a month and you look at that paper and it says that you're down on first five. Let's say on I keep track of the amount of money I bet, the line I bet. Did I bet the first five? Did I bet the full game? Team total, blah blah blah. Right? Run line. You look at that paper and sometimes it just looks in your face. You're like, wow, I'm down 6 units, let's say, for the last week, but I'm up on all the other categories, but the first fives I'm not. And then you go back and, wow, look at this. For the last month, my record is bad on first fives, but on the money line first fives, but it's not on the totals on first five, and you can see that. And believe me, that's going to help you so much. You'd be surprised how many mistakes that we make again and again and again without even realizing it. And the more you keep track of the records, the more intricate you can get, the better you are. I mean, there are spreadsheets that you could use. That's something I need to get better at. That will help you, and it will. I'm still writing everything down. I can show you stacks of books and notebooks and stuff that I got, and notes everywhere. Stuff printed out everywhere. It's just, and spreadsheets could help you with that. And we're gonna. I've been talking to somebody to devise a spreadsheet for us that we could put out for you guys that would help you with how to keep records on everything. But you can figure that out yourself. The more records you keep, the more intricate, like I said, you get, the better off you're going to be. Believe me, you could tell a lot in a month, 2 months. Even let's say you're starting out now, this is your first baseball season. When you start next year, let's say May 1st next year or June 1st next year, you'll look back at what you did the previous year. It's really mind blowing sometimes when you go back at it, and it also shows you how much money you really generated. You don't realize it. Even at, $25 a bet, and you're betting 4 bets a day, that's $100. That's $700 a week, right? That's $2,800 a month. Think about that. Before you know it, you put 30 grand through the book, right? So, and you didn't even realize that's on $25 bets. So record keeping, it, I just think is so key. I could go on and on about it, but DJ, is record keeping something you always did, or is that something that you should be better at, or what's your theory on record keeping?
Record keeping is something that I definitely need to do better and be more disciplined at.
Me
But
too.
I felt like I was spinning my wheels and spinning my wheels until I really understood what record keeping is about. So I use record keeper more or less to do a few things. One is when I'm going through these slumps, I want to figure out where am I going wrong. Because in football, you may be chasing the wrong team. Like I may come up from my breakdowns early in college football, I might come up with a team that I like a lot, and I'm trying to, like Dom said, I'm trying to work with them. I bet it once, it went bad, twice, 3 times. But when do you know it's enough if you're not keeping any record keeping? So record keeping is important, and I know you young guys, especially if you bet online, it's so easy not to go look at that history and see those reds opposed to those greens. But you got to learn
Very
from
easy.
those reds. You got to
Yep.
learn from those reds, and you got to learn from those greens. You got to learn. You got to know what you're doing good and what you're doing wrong. Sometimes, the game is the bet is always split between side and total, right? So sometimes you got to. Somebody think they're a total guy, and they may be more of a side guy, or you may think that you like side, and you probably been doing well on totals. So
Right.
sometimes that may differ depending on what sport it is. So you got to be able to record keep to know where you're going with that. And if you're into betting strategies, or if you're into certain trends or whatever, you have to keep the record in order to get the trend. You know what I'm saying? So record keeping is very important. They do have stuff to help you. The Action Network is one of them. Many other ones, but the reason why
There's a
I
lot.
struggle,
There's a lot of ones.
the
Yeah.
reason that most cappers like myself struggle with that is because in order to do those things, sometimes you got to do two bets. You got to bet over here, then you got to go put it down over there. You probably gonna have a different line, or so it's one is just for record keeping, and then you spend so much time capping and stuff. You feel like, man, I don't really got time to go over to that other app and put this out there. Sometimes I do track my Twitter. Like everybody, most cappers on Twitter are sensitive about the plays you put on Twitter. So I do track my Twitter. I recap. You go back. I was this week. I'm this week, and keep going there like that. And that's one of the best ways to go about it. Just, I mean, if you don't have to keep record for the year, like Dom said, but if you did it by the week, or if you did it by the day, or if you did it by the month, it would be even awesome. So you can get a pure
Well, then
picture
you
of.
got to keep those records, but you do it by the week. But you got to keep those records.
Yeah,
And I'm saying when you go back and look at those after a year, you go back to this week last. I just say you could just tell a lot. You can see where you got better. I agree with everything you said. I think that what you said is 100% right. Listen, it's how I became. I bet more totals than sides. It, Record keeping showed me that. I don't. I bet a lot of Met games, but I don't bet a lot of Met games, money line Met games, because I don't do well with them. I don't. I think no matter how hard I try, my fandom seeps into the cap somehow or another, and I shy away from betting money line Met plays. But I do well overall betting Met games. But I'm betting totals. I'm betting against them in some fashion, or I'm getting a betting a strikeout prop because of the pitcher or whatever it may be. Record keeping helps you, even determine that stuff. And, record keeping can help you in just so many areas and can really be, when you look over it, like even after a month, when you look over it, it could really help you determine what you're doing right and what you're doing wrong. Because it's something that, we all love when we win bets and we're all like, oh, But I go back over the cap and see, did I get lucky? Because sometimes it's the wrong cap, but you got lucky, and sometimes it's the opposite way around. So your losses, you better figure out why you lost the game. A perfect example was not tonight's Met game. Verlander was pitching tonight. Last we looked, Mets were up 5-3, but the game before that, he was off a bad start in Colorado, and I was talking about how I thought that start should be thrown out. It was his second start back after an injury. It was in Colorado. It was against a team that was hitting righties at the time. One of the best in the league during May was the Rockies versus righties. So I was like, I throw the cap out. I said, I like Verlander that next game. I like him to win. It was I believe it was against the Blue Jays. And was it against the Blue? I believe so. And I thought it was the right cap. It was against the Blue Jays. He led off the first inning with a home run to Springer and then shut him down the rest of the game. And he just pitched a great quality start, his best outing for the year. Ninth inning, the Mets lost on a 3-run homer, walk-off 3-run homer, lose the game. So my point on that whole long, drawn-out story is it was the right cap, but the wrong result. So don't get down on yourself if you lose. Sometimes it's the right cap. Go back to that. But go back to that picture again. It's what I did tonight with Verlander in a different fashion, but it's what I did tonight. So it's just something that goes back again to record keeping and to how you got to go back over your cap, whether you won or lost, because it means a lot. Going over those losses and figuring out what you did wrong, that means a lot. So something to keep in mind. Record keeping is a big thing. Nasty, 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 nasty in the house. Mr. AK Trifecta, Big Belmont Steaks coming up Saturday. So you got to be You got to be ready for that one. And Big Show Picks. Thanks for stopping in, man. We appreciate that. Big Show Picks from Pub Sports Radio, stopping in to say hello, and we love to see you guys in here. So for our last topic for tonight,